My levels. Where's my levels, dude?
All right,
Crank it to 11.
you guys ever do the band thing before? You guys ever?
No.
I was in several
High school
bands.
marching band. Does that count?
No, I'm talking on a stage.
No.
Okay, guitarist. I used to be a guitarist, and this is the douchiest thing you can do on stage when you're levels and all that. You go. That's right there.
Because
Means
it's like the hell, dude.
you're
The
gonna
hell, dude.
you're gonna cut off in the middle of the song if you do this to the sound
To
guy.
the sound guy?
Yeah, he's like,
oh, I don't know what happened to you. You just totally dropped out right
dude,
there.
I think
have
that
no,
was
no idea what happened.
That was you, man. I don't
must
know.
Must have been a cable. I
The
have no
sound,
idea.
the sound guy's off the side of the stage.
Yeah, I think your equipment is faulty.
And he's just like, yeah, you're good, man.
All right, we got Thatcher Ferguson the second. Okay, AKA T-Bone. What's up, T-Bone?
T-bone.
T to the bizzle. All right, guys, welcome to the Righteous Anger Podcast. This happens to be number 10, which I think is a
10.
special episode.
Yeah, in anniversary terms, you should get a special treat, special gift, right?
Did you bring it?
We got a
No.
special guest.
I didn't know it was number 10 ahead of time.
No, but we got a special guest
Let me
for
tell you
episode
something.
10.
I've been telling Stan about this podcast for a month, maybe, like tops, right? Month.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably.
About a month.
But we've been going steady for 2 months, and now you're coming out to your pastor.
That's right.
I feel like we're
I
hiding something.
wanted to ease. Look, I wanted to ease you in, man. Ease in.
Yeah.
You don't
Okay.
want. I don't want to force it. I just
I'll
want
just
to
bite
ease.
I'll bite something.
Are you feeling itchy or something? I think you're nah.
No.
So Eric's an atheist. I don't know if I told you that, but
That's all good.
he knows he knows where I stand. Do you know where I stand?
You know where I stand. Yeah, of course.
Okay, good.
I love that the two of you are hosting a podcast together,
Isn't that cool?
and at those spaces. That's pretty rad. I
Yeah,
like it.
We also are politically opposites too.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's a communist, and I'm
I'm
not.
not a communist.
This, you know what? I think I'm just going to sit over here and watch. I'm just going to spectate all night.
Can you tell all your fans?
I'll toss some things into the middle and watch you two just go at
there
it.
you go.
I think that's a better setup.
He's gonna stir the poop.
Yeah, I think Stan's copping out. I don't know. So, all right. So, this is episode 10. I've been talking to Stan for a while. I definitely want him to come on. Stan, you know Creed Branson, don't you?
I do know Creed.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah,
know
yeah.
you know Creed? Speaking of chomping at the bit, you know Creed told me. I was like, it can get a little crazy. Would you mind debating atheists? Like, we might bring in a top atheist, and he's like, yeah, just tell me when, man. Just tell me. I'm like, whoa, I didn't know Creed was hard like that.
I have no interest in being a part of that discussion. I'll just sit outside and wait.
Right on.
We don't have debates, though, do we?
No.
we
I tell you, shut up, la la la, and then you
I
shut up eventually,
I shut up and I say, okay, you're wrong.
and then vice versa. Just depends.
I'm gonna shut up. But you're wrong.
Yeah. So I just want to thank you, Stan, for coming in, man.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
Busy schedule. This guy's leading a church. How big's the church at this point?
Well, I mean, New Life overall's, I don't know, 1,400 on a weekend, maybe 1,500. Our campus is 250-ish or so. So we've definitely have a lot of moving parts right now. That's for sure.
And you happen to be in an area that's your area is kind of. Would you say it's transient? Like you get a lot of people coming and going.
Yeah, we still catch a lot of that. I'm here for my, my 3-year job, and I'm here for a 5-year assignment or whatever it is, and then back out. And so, yeah, we definitely catch some of that. Yeah.
So, what are your Okay, so I'm just gonna jump right into it, and
Go for it.
the way we kind of do things is you ever watch like the Joe Rogan podcast? Are you familiar?
I'm familiar with Joe Rogan.
With that heathen?
Well, I'm familiar with him. I don't. I've not followed him.
F you, Joe. No, I'm kidding. We love you.
So much.
We don't agree with everything. I don't agree with everything you say, except for hot yoga. I agree with that, and I agree with On It, your company. Thank you for that stuff. But so it's similar to that. So we hang out, we talk. It's a chill thing. Do you drink beer?
I do sometimes partake in beer.
Would you rather have beer right now?
I've got my coffee. I'm good.
You got coffee?
Yeah, I brought a coffee. It's in here somewhere.
Dude, man,
right here.
this guy is gangster. Is that like actual coffee or decaf?
No, dude,
It's
black coffee.
It's not coffee.
It's just black coffee.
vodka. We're gonna just assume it's
Vodka.
vodka.
It's all right.
He's gonna be sipping his vodka.
Stan's clear coffee. No,
Coffee.
in all seriousness, is there any place that you'd not like me to go?
Oh,
or
man.
me.
And remember, Jesus hung out with prostitutes and tax collectors.
I know, man. I totally agree. I mean, you guys are
Two of them are sitting in that seat right now.
Wait a second.
How that math is? That's interesting. I mean, you could go wherever you want. Really, I'm not guaranteeing that I'm gonna have
An answer? That's fine.
An answer
That's
for
fine.
you on every single thing.
That's fine.
I don't feel like I have like a.
Stan, are you the answer? You see how down to earth? I told you this guy was down to earth.
There was a
man.
guy. Did you guys ever see the? Was it? I don't think he meets. I don't think he does his thing the way he used to anymore. It used to be called the Bible Answer Man, Hank Hanegraaff.
Yeah.
Man, that guy.
I actually do remember that guy.
Yeah, he was almost too confident to the point of like, man, I can't even listen to you right now. You're a little too confident. But
I can't stand that.
anyway, yeah, I can't. That over the top
Hey, neither can we.
kind of thing. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So
Really can't.
anyway, yeah, go wherever you want. I may say, dude, I've got nothing for you on that one, and you'll have to jump into something else. But
See, and that's honest, isn't it, Eric?
I'm not an arbiter of honesty, dude.
I'm not saying you are. I'm just.
I think it's honest.
Hello.
Yes, I think it's honest.
Can we please
Hey, you
lower the BS flags, guys? All right, let's be real. Okay?
What BS flags? Come on.
All right, nobody needs to be nice to anybody.
Why don't
Nobody
we
needs to be-
incorporate beers in a conversation?
That would be
See?
a bad idea, and a good idea at the same time,
See, that's great.
and a bad idea,
But mostly a good
and
idea.
a really good idea, and a bad idea. All right, I'm actually looking at my output, and you know what? I don't know why, but it just seems like it's low. But you know what?
You can mess with the levels after. Are you still getting anything?
I'm getting a lot, but here's the problem, right? Stan, let me hear you say something.
say something.
One more time.
Say something. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
No, I'm not. You don't want me to sing. Your viewers will disappear.
You can't sing?
rapidly. No. I mean, no. I don't think I can.
What?
I'm more of an instrument guy. I'd rather play an instrument than sing.
Like what?
I mean, I played saxophone starting in the 4th grade all the
Freaking
way through high school.
Lisa Simpson over here, right on.
And then I taught myself drums in high school and guitar in college. So
Check that out. Nice.
I'm not great at any of those. It's the jack of all trades, master of none thing.
That's cool because,
But
excuse me, I probably shouldn't be coughing into the mic, but the cool thing, right? Like I learned my instrument has always been guitar, but I learned how to play drums and bass because, like, dude, we need a drummer. Dude, we need a bassist.
Gotta
Dude,
jump in, yeah.
Got to jump in. So you were able to, and drums is probably the best thing because everybody's looking for a drummer.
yeah, drums
Always.
were fun. They're the most fun. Now I've got my one of my middle schoolers. He's 12. He's big into drumming right now. So there's a lot of noise in our house.
By the way, just because Stan is the sexiest person in here doesn't mean he's the youngest. Stan, how old are you, buddy?
I am 36.
See, he's 2 years older than me, and I was the old guy. What? For that? Remember that podcast with the UFC fighters?
That's right, you were.
And they all looked older than me and tougher than me, and everybody's like, "Hey, little guy. Hey, little man." And I'm like,
We're only like 3 weeks apart, though.
"I'm still older than you, bro."
Okay. 3 weeks, man.
See, my wife is watching. Is like, I thought kids stopped doing that like around 5 or 6.
No, we never do.
No, dude, I've got like 3 weeks on you, man.
If we were twins, we'd be arguing over seconds.
I was talking to a church planter last week, and I found out his birthday was December of the same year as me. And I looked at him and I said, "You really need to listen to me because I'm 5 months older than you.
You don't understand, man.
You don't get it.
Listen to your
You
elders.
need to listen."
Listen, those 5
So yeah, it never stops.
those 5 months.
I mean, months of wisdom. Months of wisdom.
I lived in a rice paddy in Da Nang. I was looking for hooches.
You were a pro at nursing before me, so I got to give that to you.
Yeah, yeah, and that's where the sinning began.
You've known boobs 3 weeks longer than me.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's been a problem ever
So I'm
since.
kind of jealous.
Let me tell you, that's disgusting. Ugh. Anything with moms, and you had your mom on last week, and that was
She'd think it's hilarious.
I thought it was hilarious. Man, I love your mom, and it's so funny to watch you kind of like be a little bit uncomfortable.
A lot uncomfortable.
No, you hit it really well because you were like, okay, mom, that's mom, and I'm like, shut up, Eric, let her keep going. Come on, Alice, give me the worst you got. No, she was great. What a lovely woman, though. What
Yeah.
a lovely gal.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
Very surprised. Very surprised. No, I'm messing with you. Before we go any further, I would like to thank a young man by the name of Mo El Haj. Is that his name?
That's his name,
Mo El Haj. Mo El Haj, I'm probably screwing that up. He's the proprietor of Imperial Tobacco. They offer water pipes, vapes, cigars, hookahs, and general tobacco for all your tobacco needs. They are at 22034 Shaw Road. That's SHAW Road in Sterling, Virginia. Check them out. They're next to Buffalo Wing Factory. So after you get your wings on, you can get your cigar on. That actually sounds pretty good. You guys
That was a
wanna
good spot.
You guys, oh, thank you.
Yeah, it was a good spot.
That was my
Off
first
the cuff.
That was my first spot ever. But we want to thank Mo over at Imperial Tobacco for being a sponsor today for
Awesome.
the Mr. Stan Rodda episode.
Fantastic.
All right. Okay, Stan, let's get down to soup and bolts. No, nuts and bolts.
Nuts and bolts.
Soup and
to
bolts. That'd be really weird.
Soup and bolts.
I mean,
That sounds like when I work on cars. Honey, go get me some soup. It's gonna be a long day.
you have soup when you work on
Soup.
cars.
Soup is when it's a long day.
Long day. You know, I used to work
Gumbo.
on. I worked on my car no matter what time of day, or excuse me, what time of year. I was out there. She'll tell you, dead of winter, snowing outside, cars outside. I'm under the car working on it.
You just like to suffer.
I think I do. I think
a
that's
little
why I went to Bud's.
Yeah. It's pain. It feels good.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's terrifying and horrible. And
Well, at least you're accepting your inner masochism. That's cool.
is that what it is?
It is.
Do you think masculinity and masochism have a bit of a, I don't know, like
I would say that they are definitely intertwined.
you think so?
Like a willingness to suffer, to feel stronger.
Yeah.
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 Oh, no.
It's interesting. That's real deep. We just got deep there for a second. Or maybe we're just talking some BS and don't know what we're talking about.
I'm totally BSing.
Either way, that was cool. Stan Rodda, please
Yo.
tell me about yourself.
Oh my goodness.
When did you start churching?
Before we started, you said something interesting. I want to actually ask about
Oh
it.
no.
And I'd like some hookah.
Yeah, there you go. So you were saying that you had training. I was curious, how does that work?
Oh.
Like, I don't understand the mechanics inside a church because I've never gotten to that level of leading one. So.
Oh, well, that's right. No, what I meant by that was referring back to Bible college.
Okay, so
You get a degree in. My degree was in preaching.
right on. What school was that?
Central Christian College. It's out in Moberly, Missouri. It's a great school, tuition-free Bible college. Tuition's paid for by donors, basically. Made a lot of
Nice.
changes since I've been there, but that's pretty impressive, Leo, to be honest with you. Yeah, so when I was referencing what the training was, basically a preaching class where the guy was saying, don't speak in a tone that isn't your natural tone.
Okay.
So,
Oh, and that's
'cause-
why he was saying the
Right.
Yes.
henceforth.
Yeah.
Look,
now there are some people who may be that way naturally, so it comes out naturally in their preaching. That's fine.
Look.
But for me, if I started doing that, people would be like,
Yeah.
what's in that Starbucks mug
yeah.
up there?
Little clear
Clear
coffee. Some clear coffee.
What's
Stan's
going on with that
coffee's
guy?
clear today.
It's clear
Yeah,
today.
That's
Don't
something's
talk
wrong with that.
Don't talk to the Stan. The
Stan.
coffee is clear. Yeah, I actually do. I do refer to you as that when you're not
Don't
around.
say things like that, because then I'll get nicknames and people will call me that for months. And I don't get people.
The
started.
Stans.
I didn't come up with that, Stan.
Oh no.
There are already names floating around.
There's already names floating around.
When you're the leader of a church, man, you probably have like 70 nicknames you don't even know about.
That's probably true.
The Stan, the Beard, El Beardo, El Stano, Mr. CrossFit, Preachero. I don't know why
They
O's.
let's just keep going.
That could keep going, yeah. So that was what I meant by training.
Okay.
All right.
And you had mentor.
Yeah, I mean, I've got mentors in ministry.
on.
Guys who have are older, more experienced, wiser than me. That I've some of them I've sought out, and some of them have come to me and wanted to, kind of pour into my life, so to speak. And so yeah, I've got some of those guys floating around too. Yeah.
Which is, we talked about that in episode 6 with Sam Velmay.
Baron.
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 Sorry about that. Baron. We knighted him here.
Oh, nice.
Or baroned him, I guess. And he was talking about the important. He actually owns an Airbnb, widely successful
Oh.
Airbnb, and he was talking mentors. If you're in business and you don't have at least like 5 mentors, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Because you got to learn from people that have gone down that road before you, made mistakes, learn from them. I keep telling my little niece, stop doing that. Stop doing that. And it's like, and my daughter too, stop doing that. Stop doing that, right? Stop doing that doesn't work. But saying, look, this is what happens. And then educating them on as to why. Now, how do I know that? Because I've made that mistake before. And you know what? We're talking 4 and 3 or 2. How old is she now? 4 and 3. They might not understand everything.
Nah.
But, well, mine does. She's super smart, but whatever.
And your dad.
Who?
And you are dad.
Yeah, but that means something now.
Yeah.
When she's 12, it won't mean a freaking thing.
Well, it always means something.
I just hope she hates Tanya more than me.
When she's 12, 13, you'll be the warden. So.
Is this the thing that Tanya's like watching upstairs right now?
I keep trying to get her to watch, and
Pulling her
she's
hair out.
yeah, she's
She's
like,
gonna come through that door here in a second.
you know what though? Tanya said she'd never ever be part of the show, and then I asked her the other day. I was like, "Hey, but what about that? What about that episode where we brought the massage therapist in, and she'd worked on all of us?" And she goes, "Oh, I would have done that show.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have talked, but I totally would have done that show." She does not like to be in spotlights, cameras, none of that.
Really?
But for a free massage, yeah, yes, please. She's tight too, man. Like I need to get her. What are you laughing about, man? Men and women become tight.
Yes, they do.
We're just gonna leave it at that.
Yes, we should.
I'm tight. You gonna laugh at that?
I don't want to know anymore.
I've got nipples, fucker. Can you milk me?
I don't know.
Stan, you ever see that movie?
I did.
Okay, good. It was probably in a sermon at some point, wasn't it?
It probably made its way into a sermon illustration. Yeah.
Oh, this hookah is so freaking good. Imperial Tobacco off Shaw Road.
He also owns Moe's Hookah.
Moe's Hookah?
Yeah, over in Sterling.
And that's a place you can
It's
go
a
sit
hookah
down?
bar. Yeah, it's a bar.
Oh, we're going to have to go there.
Yeah, it's a good place.
If he likes it, we could actually
Do a show there,
Do a
yeah.
show.
It's pretty open. Nice area. I think there's a bonchon nearby. It's nice.
Oh, banchan, dude.
Yeah.
I eat that. It's immediately 35 to 45 minutes in the bathroom.
Yeah, every time.
For like an immediate evacuation, not a leisurely, but like a everybody out.
Well, it's a frequent, for me. It's like 40 minutes here,
Go back.
half hour later.
Okay, I'm cool.
No,
No.
Bonchon has two levels. One is enjoyable. This is really good. The other is I can't feel my mouth.
Yes.
Like that, they have two flavors. One is good, and the other is my taste buds have singed off.
I'm eating chicken, but I have no idea
It's
what it
so
tastes like.
hot. It's not. I mean, I smelled it. I'm like, I'm not eating that. There's no way. I
Dude,
would not survive.
I can't enjoy that.
No,
at all.
I would like to enjoy the food I'm eating.
I don't
feel my mouth.
I don't get people that like hot food that much. Like to the point. Okay, they'll pass me like a ghost pepper or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And I'll be like, all right, let me try that, and I'll be like, and then now it's 30 minutes of dying, and then resurrect. It's very juice-like actually, and then coming back to life.
There's a 3 in there.
What's that?
There's a 3 in there, and then you go in a room and you come back later.
Oh, okay. I didn't quite get that. Sometimes you're gonna have to explain what
I
you
got to
say.
slow down with them.
Your
yeah.
brain. Eric is a very intelligent fellow.
I believe it.
You're with that new drug you're taking.
Yes.
Very intelligent.
Yes.
You're catching on code much faster.
Yeah. Mr. Rogan will not pay us or send us free samples, I don't think. Actually, you might. Hey, Rogan, can you please send me some more Alpha Brain? I think I need it. Or not. Maybe I'll just go to some other competition. Maybe I'll try some other nootropic.
You should.
I actually am going to do that.
I'm getting you to pump your brain.
Do that. No. I'm actually going to try 3 different ones and then compare it to see if my brain gets bigger, like those aliens and
A little leak out
Mars.
the ear. It's okay. You don't need it.
I don't care, man.
It's childhood. You don't need that.
I actually read something. I was looking. Sorry, stepping all over your joke. I actually read a. Stan, do you know what nootropics are? You have
Nope.
any? Oh, there.
Hey,
Okay,
cool. Right on.
All right, good. Nootropics are basically ingredients, like natural ingredients that boost your brain in different ways, right? So some nootropics specialize in calming you down, helping you focus. Some of them what's called mental endurance. So you're able to kind of do something difficult with, for a longer time and be more engaged with it. I'm learning how to code right now. He's the code master. He's teaching me. And when we first started, I was like straight up E-arted.
Drooling moron.
Now
You are just a moron.
Now I'm just moron, and I'm trying to get to competent.
Yeah, you gotta understand that. I'm even a moron to some of my peers. Like complete moron.
Yeah, but we got to have some sort of like bar.
Exactly. There's context.
Okay. But let me tell you, you start taking a nootropic and it works for you, you're going to be like, your brain is going to be buzzing. Mine was buzzing in a good way, like buzzing like, like an engine, like a high powered engine. It was just nonstop for hours. And I was able to code for hours, not ask any dumb questions, just be able to rock and roll with it. So I don't know if you need that. Your brain's probably excellent. What do? You do CrossFit.
I don't know if I need it either.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You try it though, right? It's not all natural ingredients. It's like
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
You went with the natural. I went with the chemically enhanced.
Yeah.
Like the ones that are made in a lab.
I don't know if I want to even.
They're fun.
Get down with that.
They're totally
fun.
Isn't LSD also made in a lab?
Yes, it is. It's also a lot of fun.
Jeez Louise, man.
But it's neural enhancement. So if you've ever got if you're reading something and you're like, wow, I can't retain any of this a day later or 2 days later, we're all in our 30s, so we're starting to slow down mentally. So you start taking nootropics, you get that extra kick, you retain things longer, you remember things clearer, they can just come back to your memory quickly. It's really it's really up to you. What do you want to do with your brain? So
Sorry, everybody. Oh, why is that on? Wow. I'm like, I got the FX up crazy. Oh, there you go. Okay, so now, I had reverb on that whole time. Did you guys feel like we were in an ethereal place?
it felt like there was an echo for sure.
Hello, hello, hello. I just watched Pink Floyd's, one of these, what is it? Pink Floyd's, Who is Pink? It's a documentary about the fact that Pink Floyd went through a bunch of people, I guess frontmen. They went through a bunch of frontmen. The first frontman, speaking of LSD, got a bad or LSD hit or whatever, and apparently lost his mind. And then he was like no longer fit to, be part of the band. And back then it was like the 60s, so they were looking for bands that were very commercially viable, and just bad things were happening. And they didn't find their sound until like the 70s. Huh. They didn't find that whole ethereal. And did you know that Pink Floyd, I mean, we're all young dudes here. There's a 50, 60-year-old guy's like, duh, But,
Pink Floyd's awesome, of course.
You freaking kids with your hippity hop and
poppity bip,
your
whatever.
Shania Twain, like she's relevant.
What?
Well, we're talking about a 60-year-old.
No.
60-year-old.
Yeah, the expression we have is like, what?
What? Huh? What? So, but yeah, did you know that they actually were the soundtrack for the moon landings?
The soundtrack for the moon landings? Really?
On BBC. They were on BBC.
That's kind of awesome.
And while they broadcasted the moon landings, the background music was them live in BBC studios.
That must have been really awesome.
How amazing is that? Huh. Hello, hello, hello. Is anybody out there?
Yeah, that must have been trippy.
Dude.
Imagine never mind. I was gonna say, imagine tripping acid while watching that.
Didn't I just tell you
I was gonna say that would have been
thank you.
Cool.
Just be loose, man.
Yeah.
Be loose.
Relax. Where's the beer, man?
You need beer?
Yeah, I need a drink of some kind. He's got coffee. I need a drink. I need something in my hand.
Let me see. Tanya. No, she's not watching. What am I talking about?
Is it upstairs?
You want to get it?
Yeah, I'll go get it.
But is that going to be disruptive to Stan? The Stan?
I'll go around Stan.
Okay.
I would not be disrupted.
No, I mean like
bring up some controversially, righteously anger stuff.
All right. We'll do that. We'll do that next. He's going to go get a beer. Me and Stan are going to talk about life.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll take one. It's in the mini fridge, right?
Stan? No, I'm good, thank you.
Mini fridge. So just go into the kitchen and look to your bottom right. Bottom right. Can't miss it.
You can't miss it.
The only way you can miss it is if you're blind and stupid.
And we've already determined.
We've already determined.
He's not stupid.
Definitely not blind.
Definitely not stupid either.
No, he's a smart guy. Yeah, he's a smart cat. You know, hey, everybody in Eric Land. By the way, no Eric in Eric Land. That's kind of a paradox, isn't it? Stan?
A little bit. It kind of is a little bit, yeah. I'm not quite on that frame over there. I feel like I need to like reach in and, hey, yo, what's up?
It's not about you on that one. It's all about me.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why. I keep telling them, pointing at him. Those are his people, but maybe they see enough of Eric on a daily basis.
Oh, he has his own thing going?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's quite the little setup you got going down here, man. I like it.
It's not bad, man. You see these bullets here? You know what that's from?
No.
You're a cultured man, no? That's 50.
I can't tell.
Those are 50 cal shells.
Oh, yeah, nice.
So that's like, you see the guy on the back of the Humvee.
Yeah.
That's what those are from.
Nice.
And then I have another. Oh, you see that shell right there? I got that when I left the Navy. That's from I think a 20-inch gun. So that's like those old howitzer, not howitzer.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is, even without that crap in there, it's still heavy.
So yeah, that's yeah, no, it is. I didn't know you were in the Navy.
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, man. Eric was in the Army. I was in the Navy. See? Do you see how the contrasts just keep coming? He's an Army man.
Navy.
But I was
Go Army, beat Navy.
Yeah.
So do you guys watch the game together?
That never.
Okay.
I'm not a football guy, bro.
Well,
And I know you are, right?
now we have something to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
He can educate us. You could teach us about football.
What is the state of football today? Remember, what is it, Deflategate? It was like the last big, huge controversy, right?
No,
Yeah.
the last big controversy is my adoptive team, the Raiders, are looking to go to.
Oh,
Yeah, they're looking to leave California and go to Las Vegas.
that's
Oh,
already
boy.
It's already done.
It's done. They're there.
Well, I mean, they'll spend a couple more years
Yeah.
in L.A. or Oakland or wherever they're at now.
Oakland.
Yep, they'll spend a couple more years there while the stadium's being built and head to Las Vegas.
Something sounds really wrong about Las Vegas Raiders.
It really does. I mean, they used to be the L.A. Raiders. What are they? The LV Raiders now?
it's a
It
little
sounds
weird.
like JV. That sounds like they're not a good. But
Sounds
they're
like a prison team.
well. That's kind of
Las
that's
Vegas.
kind of right.
That's kind of how they go.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's how it's
okay.
been for them.
That's actually a good thing for them.
Yeah, I think their motto for a while was "If you're not cheating, you're not trying."
Brilliant.
Yeah, and
That's pretty much it.
And a dead body in every stand or something. Those guys are like notorious. Before the Eagles, there was the
Oh
Raiders.
man, yeah, they're the worst, man. Of course, I'm a Chiefs fan, so I mean the Raiders. It's just
You guys are rivals, man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I've been to Chiefs games in Kansas City where they're playing a completely different team, and Raiders fans from Kansas City show up just to start fights in the parking lot. I mean,
right.
they're
Oh
just
my
they're
gosh.
Complete
just-
jerks.
Like they're just I'm like your team wasn't even here tonight. They don't care. They just show up. Let's start a fight in the parking lot.
Hey, you're wearing red. It's almost like Crips and Bloods, except the Crips are black instead of they wear black
they
instead of
just
blue.
show up out of nowhere. Man.
Hey, and then Stan's got his Kansas City like gang signs he throws up, like a K and a C, and then the Raiders are like, what?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I heard-
You know me. I was throwing up the gang signs.
yeah. Stan, man, Stan is a hardcore
It's
hip hop,
hardcore.
bad mother. No, Stan is like the op.
No,
Stan,
I'm not hard at all.
You're not.
That's just
Stan.
that's not-
Stan, you do CrossFit though, right?
I have done CrossFit. I'm not currently doing CrossFit. I have done it, but
What are you doing now? Stay shape.
hoping and praying.
How effective is that? I'm just curious.
It's not good. I'm gaining weight right
up there.
now.
Shut up
Wait,
there.
so-
I know
Wait
where
a
he's
second.
going.
We just got a preacher to admit that prayer is not effective at losing weight.
Well, yeah.
First of all, he's not a priest.
Hey, that's one thing.
He's not
I
a
said
not a
priest.
priest.
preacher.
Oh.
I said preacher.
Oh, okay, I thought you
we
said
just got a
priest.
preacher to say that prayer is not effective means of weight loss.
No,
That's one thing.
I would say that's
That's one
probably
thing.
accurate.
So,
Yeah.
so all those,
I'm
all
eating
those,
this whole cheesecake.
all
And I'm
those-
praying it doesn't make me get fat.
all those guys making money at late night. What is it? Late night.
televangelist.
Televangelists,
Like the- yeah.
And if you just send us $300, we will send you this weight loss cloth. And the cloth, you just rub it on your belly, and it disappears.
For $20 more.
And for
more.
And for
You will get a
$20
vial of
more,
blessed water.
you will get this bell. It's a bell of healing. Oh, can you feel it? Can you feel it? It's
More
just
cowbell.
melting off you. More cowbell.
Yes.
Yes. And for $20 more, I'm going to use them all. And for $20 more, you get the slide whistle of life. Can you hear the pounds just melting away?
Oh my god. I'm gonna look for this now.
Oh man.
I think we just cut a promo.
Yeah,
I think we just cut a
man.
promo. You think we can make money off of that?
maybe. We gotta actually sell something.
Oh, crap.
Yeah.
There's always a catch, man. Dang it.
Huh?
Oh, well.
It's just
Stan is speechless.
Stan's just like, what the heck am I doing on this show?
I've subscribed to Stan's podcast. It doesn't go like this one.
No? Okay.
no, it's a lot
His
different.
is very straight laced. They talk about the topics, and we're just like, we'll get there. Don't
This
worry,
is kind of fun, though. I mean, I'm good with this. It's kind of fun.
I know.
Freeform.
It's freeform, baby. We're just here.
Playing jazz.
We're just drinking beers and clear coffee.
Clear coffee.
Oh my gosh! Did you see his keyboard over here? This.
I did actually. I was noticing this. That's quite the deal.
Everybody, look at this keyboard. Look at this keyboard that he's got. This thing's insane, man. Can you type on it for a second?
Sure.
Hear this. Listen to this.
Let's clickety clackety clickety clickety.
Dude, tell me that doesn't sound like freaking Clark Kent in Superman when he's pretending to be weak. Freaking, I'll get it right to you, Chief. There was a Chief, right? I'm not screwing that up.
Yeah.
Okay, Chief. Was it? Wait.
Perry White.
Perry White.
Yeah.
Wait. Wasn't that Spider-Man?
No, it's JJ.
J.J. Abrams.
Jonas.
John Jones.
J. Jonah Jameson.
Jane Jingleheimer
JJ.
Schmidt.
J.
His name is my name too. Whenever we go. Come on, man.
Just broke in a song. I'm not going there.
Are you serious?
This is not a song show.
I got.
Are we making it a song show, or are we gonna?
Do you remember our first episode?
That's true. You did sing.
Yeah. Okay. No, we played music.
Did you sang also? You sang off. Didn't you sing with the music?
No, I don't listen to that garbage.
Oh, okay.
1975.
That's right.
But
It was hipster.
Let me tell you something. Yeah, we were completely crapping on hipsters. Sorry, T-Bone. We crap on
Aw.
hipsters. We don't like them because they are lame. But yeah, I digress. The reason why we don't play any more music is because YouTube likes to screw up our episodes when we do that. So,
Oh, so you had to clip it out.
yeah, well, I didn't clip it out, but now there's a nice, thing that they,
DMC acclaim.
yeah, all
Yeah,
that.
fun.
So I, got to sidestep that a little bit. YouTube, come on, man. I'm not stealing music. We're just listening to it. Don't you? Isn't that what you want? More publicity for your crappy 1975?
I don't think they need it. I'm gonna just go out on a limb.
You don't think they need our help?
Probably not.
Nope.
We had like 1 million people following us, then they'd probably be like, "Yeah, use our song, whatever."
Yeah. Hey, everybody.
Probably.
Everybody that's listening to this right now, can you please tell 150 of your friends? I know everybody listening has 150 friends, right? Even the fake variety, a la Facebook. Tell them about the show. It's kind of good, Hey, and by the way, actually, on top of that, everybody listening right now, if you guys could just type in the comments, what kind of guest you'd like us to have next. We've got for our 20th show, we're looking at actually doing it live at, what is it called? Prime time. So I would like to have a musical guest, a band of some kind, maybe
Or an artist.
What?
Or an artist.
An artist, rapper, whatever. Just somebody good, somebody local, maybe, I don't know, to the DC area. And then we also like to get some special guests in here. I'm actually talking to some big Christian apologists so they can apologize to Eric for being so awesome and smart and better than him. No, I'm kidding,
No.
Eric. And,
That's not what.
Eric, I was just kidding, bro.
No, I mean apologists.
I know, I know it's not the same thing, Eric. I'm just playing.
You're
playing.
just effing with me.
I'm just kidding around.
Live effing with me.
Live. There's a live screwing going on in your brain.
Get out of my head.
You're welcome.
Get out of my head.
Let me know. So, can we get back to Stan now, please?
Yeah.
I'm just enjoying my coffee over here.
Yeah, the clear. And
Okay.
I'm enjoying.
It's
this.
actually Sumatra.
We gotta ask the questions then. Strangest experience you've had in the course of your career? Strangest person, strangest
First of all,
encounter, strangest weird thing that's happened.
Oh man.
Because I always
Wow.
want to know these things. I want to know, as a
It's
person
not-
who deals with people constantly,
Okay, first
and
of
works
all-
with people constantly, it's the strangest experience you've had.
First of all, but before you get to that, it's not going to beat Shannon Smith's massage weirdest thing that's ever happened to her.
We don't know that.
That's true. This could get crazy. All right, Stan, you got anything for us?
Oh man. I've definitely got those stories. I'm not really sure which of those I'm.
You don't have to drop names.
Yeah,
just
I'm
the
not really
experience.
required to tell. Probably one of the strangest ones happened very early on in my young ministry. Actually, the first church I was a part of full time, I had a couple show up at my door at about 9:30 at night, and he was banging on the door trying to get my attention. I was trying to get my. Are those some of those sound effects that help me out with the story?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm trying to do some Foley for you.
Anybody home?
Thanks.
Stan.
Stan, come to the door.
So he said, yeah, exactly. They were definitely fighting, cussing each other out, going to town. They woke up my infant son, who was a kind of a newborn at the time, and then basically ended up in my house for a couple hours as I tried to repair some marital strife. Which was an interesting night, but it was very strange early on in ministry. I didn't realize people just kind of showed up at your house and needed immediate emergency kind of care. And these were people I was 22, 23 at the time, and this couple happened to be, I don't know, early 40s or something. And I thought, in my head, I was thinking, I genuinely have nothing for you. Like, I have no experiences for this. I have no background. Like, I have nothing to offer. But
How old were you?
I think I was 22.
You don't know anything. You don't know anything.
I knew nothing, and I just sat there. I mean, by the time they left, I looked at my wife like, I have no idea what just happened. Like, these people.
You were married at 22?
Yeah.
How old were you when you got married?
I was 19.
Right on.
Oh, nice.
I was almost 20.
So he's young, man. He was not wasting time. He's like, dude, gotta get married.
Wait, so that means you have a teenager.
I have a 15-year-old and an almost 13-year-old. Yeah.
Oh boy.
And they're only 3 years away from him. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry. This is creator math. I'm a creative person, so the math is wrong. But I got married at 23, which I think it's good. I think that's one good thing. I'm not going to say that's a Christian thing, but I'm going to say that a lot of Christians do get married early-ish. Well, especially like
They're eager.
They're eager. They must breed. No.
Make a family.
Oh, jeez. Let's not go there.
I need a full quiver.
Well, don't worry.
I gotta fill my quiver.
Stan, you get out of here.
Yeah, this guy's on to something.
Yeah. But
I've only got two.
I was also military too, though. But military, they get married early too. It's kind of a thing. But
It's the uniform, man.
You think
It's
so?
like I need to have the
Think so?
picture perfect family.
You think so?
That's what I think it is. It's like outside of everything else, like religion and family. It's just I need the picture perfect life.
As a cultural norm, you mean?
Yeah. You want the nuclear family. You want 2 kids and a dog. It's kind of a norm.
Dude, you never had a dog.
Yes, I did.
You did?
Golden Retriever.
What was its name?
I do not remember. It was 10 years ago.
What?
How do you not?
How do you not remember
I don't
your dog's
remember
name?
my dog's
10
name.
years ago, bro?
No, I don't remember. Well, we had several dogs is the reason I don't remember.
Oh.
My ex-wife is now a dog trainer, so she goes through dogs really quickly.
What does she do with the bodies?
I have no idea. There's a cemetery. There's no markings on them.
and an alibi.
Yeah. Like, I don't know how many I've had to bury.
Jeez Louise,
My
man.
conscience is so messed up.
His whole backyard is doing great, man. The fertilizer.
Tree, it's only a yearling, but it's huge.
Yes. Thank God, puppy.
No,
puppy
we had
chow.
a pair of Westies, West Highland Terriers, that were named Thor and Loki. And then after that,
Thor and
they
Loki.
were, oh my gosh, they were the worst pets ever.
Tiny little dog. Well, those are. Anytime you get like a little dog, prepare for
Yes, they're just the worst.
Ankle biting yappers.
They got the worst
yappers,
attitudes.
They do.
Yep.
Terrible attitudes.
I do want a min pin, but I'm going to keep him in line. My next dog is going to be a min pin.
Nice.
Yeah, because I just want like me, little and tough looking. You know, just little and tough looking. I am tough looking, right? Well, Travis.
You are tough to look at.
You son of a. Travis says, I got married at 24, so young. Yeah, I was 23. What's up, Jody? What's going on? Yeah. But you know, the good thing is that we if you're still married into your 30s, that means that you pass the 7-year itch. You
Get over the bump.
You've learned each other, and now you can actually have a serious marriage. Not just like the puppy love, not just the sex, but now you're like really in it for the long haul, you know? And you got to make a decision at that point, because most guys in their 30s are like right at a good age to. I feel like the whole what is it, the midlife crisis happens earlier nowadays. You guys notice that?
There's two now. You have your early midlife crisis and then your midlife crisis.
Why do you think that is?
I have no idea. I think it's because people are living longer. And people are living into their 80s on average. So, you know, your midlife crisis happens in your 50s-ish, mid-50s. But you have that early midlife crisis in your 30s when you're like, I'm still young. I still got it.
Yeah.
I can make it happen.
I think there's a couple of different reasons. One big factor is the fact that we don't like have the traditional go to work for 20 years, get your pension.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, that might have an effect.
And there's more opportunities. So if you've been at a job for 5 years, you see a lot of kids go like, this isn't what I was made to do. I'm not making $1 zillion yet. And then, you know, they feel bad about that, even though, you know, that's not realistic. But you look at all the people out there that are like in the media, and they're all doing really well. They're in the media. They're all doing really well and rich, and they seem like they got it all together, and you don't, or you think you don't,
or you want to,
or you definitely want to, or else you wouldn't be like jonesing for that.
I don't know. Guess everybody wants that American dream.
I don't know if I guess I'd call that the nouveau American dream.
Okay.
Yeah, because the American dream first of all, the American dream's BS.
Yes.
Complete BS. That was something that did that come from Ford? Was that Ford plant stuff?
I'm shaking my head. I have no idea.
Okay. I remember reading something talking about how, you know, the whole and how factories and stuff, they needed workers, and
he needed a market, so he had to pay his workers enough to afford the cars he was making.
Well, that was one, but he also needed workers to go live near the factories.
Yeah.
So to get them out of there, they pay them awesome amounts of money for the time, pensions. I think at one point they were like actually having like plots for houses and stuff. It was actually a lot like a fiefdom. If you look at the ancient world, or I guess would you call that the
medieval?
Ancient? Yeah, medieval times. You know, the kingdoms and things. That's kind of how
Lords
fiefs
and
worked.
vassals.
Actually, the Romans did the same thing.
They did
with their centuries.
Soldiers were guaranteed a specific weight in salt.
Right.
Upon completion of service,
and
citizenship.
It was 30 years. But the problem is, life that was like winning the lottery if you made it 30 years.
If you made it that far.
Yeah. So it was a big crock of shiznit. But
spoils, you know, in the meantime, you get spoils and, I guess, women.
Are you talking about raping and pillaging? Okay, all right. We went straight pirate. There's my pirate flag, by the way. All hail pirate. I got to get an American flag in here so people know what team I'm on. Don't want them thinking I'm one of these communists.
Oh dear, they still have communists?
I don't know.
Where are they?
It's fun to say, man. They're in Fidel Castro's house. I don't know. In China, they're in China.
Okay,
all of them.
I thought those were socialists.
No, those are communists, man. China's communist, and isn't North Korea communist?
Technically, that's a totalitarianism.
Which
really,
that's what communism turns into.
Eventually.
Yeah, because nobody. What is it? Power.
Isn't that the transition? That's how it happens. You go from like capitalist democracy to a totalitarian state, fascism, and then you end up at a communist socialist state, and then you go back to a democracy, and it just keeps going around in a circle.
I don't know about that.
It happens. That's how it happens. Empires, they change.
End up with a
king.
Did you say you said capitalist?
Yeah, you end up with some kind of democratic institution, and somehow that gets perverted into a fascist state.
Yeah.
And that's like totalitarianism. And then they turn into a communist state to revert away from it. And it's just this cycle. It goes on and on and on and on. Kings to democracies to back to kings to back to democracies to back to kings.
Interesting.
People are fickle.
Yeah.
People are, yeah, and that's funny because I would say that one of the there's a lot of questions that people ask Christianity, but Christians in general.
Or Christendom.
Christendom. I've never used that word in my life. I think I used that for a book report one time in school.
Christendom is the body of Christians around the world.
I think we just call that the church.
That's another name for it?
Yeah.
Of course, you're referring to the Holy Roman Church.
No.
Point. No, I mean, when you say the church.
Yeah, well, that's what people think, like especially smart people like yourself that are very let me finish praising you a bit.
Some bit. You're not praising me.
I'm praising you.
Underhanded compliment.
It's not, dude. Come on. You know.
So let's.
No, but when I say like the church, I'm talking about the church. I'm not talking about that church or this church. I'm talking about the people that are actually following, following the charge, following the scripture, following the life. That's the church. Everything else to me is just an institution.
Okay, so degrees, right? That's what I'm concerned with.
What, like a
would you not
like a social studies degree?
No,
what are you
like
talking about?
degrees of separation. Like, where do you put the cutoff? Like, would you consider Westboro Baptist Church part of the church?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think their doctrine is screwed up, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your perspective on the fact that they would see your doctrine as screwed up.
Here's the problem. When you start jumping into sort of a universalist idea like that,
Yeah.
that is coming from that worldview.
Yeah.
My paradigm isn't like I don't believe that I have to ascribe to that, because I can say, look, what, something funny?
Justin. Yeah, we need to stop, and we need to let Stan chime in as a representative of the church.
We are just freaking.
We're railroading the poor guy.
But he's kind of doing this on purpose because I see him looking back and forth. All right, Stan.
It's like ping pong.
Go ahead, Stan.
Hey, Justin, just butt out, man. I'm having a great time here. Just watching this back and forth.
We should just say something and then just stare at him.
What do you think of that, Stan?
Yeah, Stan.
What do I think of? What was the question? You guys have been on like 50 topics. What are we talking?
So we're talking about the body that you would consider, or the group of people you would consider the church or Christendom.
Who do you think really represent? Or you said cutoff, right?
Yeah. What's the degree? Where's the separation between these are the church, these are not?
Let's go with your specific thing. You said Westboro.
Yeah, Westboro Baptist.
Would you consider Westboro part of the church?
I really struggle with making a determination on this is where these people are. I can't ultimately judge or call out heart, but you can look and see, kind of what the fruits of somebody's life and what it ends up becoming. And then you can judge those and you can look at those and discern whether or not they're in alignment with the things that Christ taught. And in that manner, I don't think that anything that Westboro really does at any level is anything in alignment with what Christ did. As you've already pointed out, Christ ate with prostitutes, tax collectors, who were basically the scum of the earth in his culture. He did not stand at the street corner and picket, and protest.
God hates prostitutes.
Right, yeah.
Jesus in his redneck accent.
Right.
God hates tax collectors. Stop taking our money.
Well, you even go in and there was I forget who did this. One of these journalist guys went in and they did a big documentary on Westboro, and they were allowed to go in and be a part of a couple of the services. They spent like a week with them or whatever it was, and they did all these interviews. And even the songs that they were singing through a church service were reworded, basically like Battle Hymn of the Republic kind of songs.
Holy crap.
Reworded, but reworded toward, God hates fags and God hates this, and so
that's a soundbite.
Even we're
not going to extract that.
Don't use that.
No.
But even just the and just like the way we mess up the Bible sometimes, pulling verses out of context, let's not pull that out of context and make me sound like a horrible person.
No way.
Because that is not what I said.
You were quoting.
I was quoting.
But that's a good lesson in context, by the way.
Yeah.
It is a good lesson in context. My thing with that is just that they're living lives that don't end up looking anything like what Jesus did. I have a problem with that personally. I would not consider them to be a part of the church that is trying to move things forward with people in society and reaching people, making a positive, impact for Christ. I wouldn't consider them to be a part of that. There's a lot of people in that mindset stuck in a certain period of time who are just kind of stuck there and can't seem to move past it. So no, I would struggle to say that, oh yeah, these are really great representatives of Christ. In the same way, I'm not necessarily, I've said this before to a lot of people. I think that there are extremes. There's liberals and conservatives and extremes on pretty much every scale, right? There's the Muslims, for instance, who say, we're for peace and we're for love and, those kinds of things. And then you've got terrorism, there's definitely this, the extreme side, the not extreme side, there's a middle, there's a whole bunch of different people claiming a whole bunch of things. And that's part of why I think people are not big fans of the church or Christianity quite like they used to be, because it's so convoluted with, what it feels like differing messages bombard you. And then eventually people just go, I don't want any part of that. Right. I don't want to be a part of that at any level. So I'm just going to pull myself out of that. I don't want to be a part of that. So, but yeah, I would struggle. I would have a hard time saying Westboro, specifically since they were the ones that were brought up. I would struggle saying, yes, they are a part of the church.
There you go.
Okay.
What do you think of that?
It's a pretty good answer.
I thought so too.
The main concern I have with that is Fred Phelps, the guy who founded it, about, what was it, 50 years ago, 45 years ago?
I don't know.
He was a big-time civil rights attorney, so people were struggling with various civil rights problems. They would come to him, and he would take their case. And he was one of the few people in, I believe, his entire community that would take on their case. Yeah, and the problem with these degrees is there's certain circumstances where, on the outside, when we're looking in, we see, well, what's the difference? These people read the same book and came to different conclusions. And these people read the same book and read completely different messages from it. And I guess it's uncomfortable because there's such a varying and wide range of opinions from the same source.
And that's why I think you have to look at kind of the general history of it too. I mean, you go back and you read and you see what some of the things the early church did. I mean, you're kind of just following that history and going, okay, what's kind of the set pattern of the church for the course of history? And the set course of pattern for the church over the course of history was not, protest on a street corner, holding up signs. That was never the general history of the church. Yeah, that has definitely been corrupted and polluted and used for atrocities, for sure. I mean, it's been used for bad things, of course, but that's not the general history. That's not the general course of what it's supposed to be.
Okay. I can't debunk that, and I don't want to. I just see the historical aspect is that the early church would stone people in public who they felt were sinful, and they would maim people who they felt were sinful. One example that jumps out in history is Hypatia of Alexandria. She was beaten to death by monks. They took her out in the street, stripped her naked, beat her with clamshells.
That'd be a heck of a beating.
It was shells. That's how it's described. She was beaten to death, and then she was set on fire. And these were very pious members of the early church. And you see this line of history of these, what you would consider, or what I would consider, fairly mainstream members of the church committing these atrocious acts of violence. And I don't know, today it's much more normalized or much more civil and peaceful, but I don't think that's a result of the church. I think that's a result of society saying we're not going to tolerate that kind of behavior anymore. And I think that's where we are. And that the degrees when it comes to separation and inclusivity and distancing yourself from specific sects, that's good. I I've always thought that that's one of the silver linings of American democracy is we have the freedom to not practice one specific religion. So, I don't know. That's my take on it. I like that the church has grown and changed and become a lot more civil than it used to be, and not as dominant over people's lives as it once was. So, I don't know. I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
No. I mean, it's fine. We could definitely go around on it for sure. My thing with that specific example would be that people have corrupted a lot of things over the years.
Absolutely.
There's an absolute misunderstanding of.
I don't hold. Maybe the main thing I want to convey is I don't hold modern Christians responsible for antiquity. I don't hold them responsible at all.
Let me go ahead and throw this in there. So Hypatia of Alexandria was murdered by the Parabolani. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Late Latin for persons who risk their lives as nurses. Ancient Greek. They were the members of a brotherhood who in early Christianity voluntarily undertook the care of the sick and the burial of the dead, knowing they would die, generally drawn from the lower strata of society. They also functioned as attendants to local bishops and were sometimes used by them as bodyguards, and in violent clashes with their opponents. The Parabolani had neither orders nor vows, but they were enumerated among the clergy and enjoyed clerical privileges and immunities.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So they were like
there's a word for it.
I'm thinking about like the henchmen of the mob, like, hey,
They were made men.
Mr.
So I heard you were talking about epicycles.
Hey,
because that's what her theory was. She proposed that the heavenly bodies didn't move in circles; they moved in ellipses. She was actually the I guess one of the first people who proposed that heavenly bodies don't move in circles. Up until then, the men of the society thought that the heavenly bodies had to move in perfect circles. So all of the astronomical projections, they were all, or the plots, they were all circles, and then within circles they'd have epicircles. And she threw that out, and she said, no, they probably don't. They move in ellipses.
now mind you, this was
her mathematical proof that kind of got her killed.
This is 300 or so years after death of Christ and the true early what.
Yeah, this is the early church.
No, that's not the early church.
Well, it's
because
context, man. It's 2,000 years.
Yeah, but imagine how much can get messed up in 300 years.
Yeah, well, yeah, Millerites versus the modern day, what is it, the Latter-day Saints, folks?
Yeah.
That's completely different. And it's only 120 years.
You feel me? It doesn't take long.
No, I agree.
It doesn't take long. And it says here they were believed to have helped in the murder of Hypatia. Because of their fanaticism, resulted in riots. Successive laws limited their numbers.
Yeah,
it's like, all right, we gotta
put some laws out there to stop these guys.
These guys are ridiculous. But once again, I would not consider these guys the Jesus following characters that they should have been, to be honest with you.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. But that's the degrees problem, right? It's like, what degree of separation is adequate?
I would say that between Jesus and anybody, there's a insurmountable degree of good, I guess. Darker the hearts of men. And especially when you got something as powerful as the early church, right?
Yeah.
Which was persecuted, to death, to horrible torture and that whole thing, right? To be a Christian during the real early church when they were persecuted. I forget who it was, but there was a minister who said Christianity isn't good unless they're being persecuted. Like real Christianity is like when you get all fluffy and comfortable. Christians, like here in America, for the most part, those aren't real. I mean, they're Christians, but they're not going through the problems that Christians really should be putting themselves into. You know what I mean?
That is one of the questions that I wanted to ask is persecution of modern American Christians.
What is it?
Yeah, where does it come from?
Right.
Like the atheist community sees it as a victimhood complex, like constantly feeling as if there's persecution. But I mean, all of Congress, all of the Senate.
You're just saying you're saying in the United States.
Yes, just the United States.
Okay.
I mean, every level of government is dominated by people who are extremely pious and extremely outspoken about it. So it's kind of confusing from
Extremely
an atheist point of view.
pious.
Well, yeah, because they're always talking about it. They're always very open about the fact that they're religious. I thank God for my.
So wait, so
every speech has some mention of God.
whoa. So you're telling me that today in the government space that we live in today, in the political space, that it's pro-Christian?
I wouldn't say it's pro-Christian. I say it's dominated by Christians. That
I wouldn't say it's dominated.
every level of government is dominated.
I would say the media is not dominated by Christians.
Well, that's not
which
government.
which is actually more important
That's not government, though.
because we're talking about the people.
I'm
And
talking about persecution.
Okay.
You're not persecuted by the media. That's criticism. That's not persecution.
well, first of all, persecution is a term that maybe shouldn't be used, but
Okay.
but it is a term. I mean, it's kind of an old term, don't you think? Like, when was the last time you used the word you've been persecuted? You're at work. Damn it, my boss keeps persecuting me on a daily basis. I mean, you don't use that word.
Okay, so what are you, discrimination?
Okay, that's probably a better word. That's probably a closer word to what
Okay.
it is. Here in the United States, I don't think anybody, unless they're getting, they have to meet in secret because there's going to be a death or something like that happening, or at least jail. I don't consider that real persecution.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, nor do I.
So
I don't think that the Christian community in the United States of America is persecuted. I don't think that that's a thing. I think a lot of that comes. I'll be honest. I mean, I think a lot of that is just an entitlement thing. It's a lot of it comes down to our country was founded on Christian principles, so therefore we should get. And anytime we kind of bump up into that, it becomes we're being persecuted. I mean, I'm not sure that it is. I don't. That's not how persecution is described in the Bible.
No.
I mean, persecution in the Bible is described as, hey, there's some lions. Let's make a sport out of this guy's death. That to me is persecution. I could get behind discrimination a little bit. For instance, if a church was to be not allowed the use of public building space because that person didn't agree. I mean, there could be a discrimination on that front, and that can go other ways too. That can go into other faiths and other places and other people. But I don't think that Christians are. I don't think that Christians are isolated to that. I don't think that's There may be moments where somebody does something stupid or whatever, but I don't think it's this is a nationwide thing we have going.
So it's like a test, right? It's a question. You ask yourself, what are you afraid of in admitting that you are a specific demographic, right? So if I am gay, I fear coming out and telling people I am gay for a specific reason because I fear that I will be beaten up or my parents will disown me or such and so and so.
I'm thinking about
for Christians, they don't have that kind of discrimination.
Yeah, but
if I come out as a Christian, there's no consequence for it.
I'm thinking about coming out though.
As a Christian?
No, gay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. 'Cause-
Tanya's going to be shocked.
Well, I mean, I'll keep her. There's like a term, I think it's called a beard.
Yes.
I'll just keep her as a beard. My daughter, she can be like a little beard or a mustache. And
It's a slightly more offensive term for what that is, but
yeah. Do not say it.
I'm not saying.
Thank you. Family show. But yeah, the thing is, like, I actually would. I feel like in today's culture, it's easier to say I'm gay than it is to say I'm Christian.
It's not actually. That's not the case at all.
Perspective.
There's been studies about this that it's harder to come out as an atheist than it is to come out as gay. Like, to tell your parents that you're an atheist is much more dramatic.
I didn't say atheist. I said Christian.
I'm saying that as a matter of coming out and saying you are some demographic. Like,
I don't know. I mean, it probably depends on where you live and your upbringing and stuff,
it's
right?
the most hated demographic in America.
What,
right now.
atheist?
Yes.
No.
More hated than Muslims, if you can believe it.
No.
What?
Yeah.
Definitely not more hated than Muslims.
Absolutely. Less trustworthy than...
There's going to be some Muslims on this show that's going to be like,
You have
no,
gotta
my
look at-
friend,
No, you're mistaken.
you're
Yeah.
mistaken.
Yeah, and
Sorry.
sorry, Mo.
Mo, it's cool, man. It's cool. We're good.
But yeah, there's been Pew studies about this that the least trusted demographic is atheists.
Least trusted.
Well, the people that
You
the
keep
people-
flip-flopping your
people
terms.
that say that they would trust someone less if they're an atheist, or would you trust them more if they're gay? Which would you prefer?
Okay, so are
People
we talking
choose-
trust or are we talking...
What
What are we talking here?
I gotta pull up the study. I'll pull up the study for you. The question was asked: What would you rather your child come out to you as? Gay, atheist, transsexual, or transgender? Or both transgender and transsexual. And the highest number of disapproval for respondents was atheist.
And this was like a countrywide study, or
It was a national study.
yeah, you're gonna have to kind of bring. You're gonna have to pull that up first.
No, I'll
of all.
send it to you. It's been floating around for a while. But that's not the point. We're not playing victim Olympics here at all.
No, we are,
No,
and
no.
I am way more victimized than you
That's
are.
what I'm trying to say,
No,
like-
that's stupid. That's stupid. But
Okay, there are laws in the books that prohibit atheists from holding office. Are there laws in the books that prohibit Christians from holding
there's
office?
laws in the books that say you can't do anything but missionary position. Do we follow that?
No, we don't.
All right,
Especially not in Alabama.
That's right. Once again,
You guys don't have a big outreach into Alabama, do you?
No, we love Alabama.
roll
You know, I have
Roll Tide.
exactly. So that's all I was getting at is the persecution thing. It's cool. We get
yeah.
it. Around the world, Christians are extremely persecuted.
I was
by
gonna
other
say
faiths.
that's what I say. I mean, whenever people talk about that, when they use that term specifically, I usually say, "Hold on, let me try to update you on what's going on in the world." Okay, let's look around the world for just a second and see some things going on. You're not persecuted. You may not like what's going on. You may feel, discriminated against. You may not like what happened, but man, persecution, that's a pretty strong word to use.
No one took away your rights, man.
It's a bit much in the terms of that conversation there. Yeah, I think it's a little, it's too much. But
See, so your question was flawed.
It was a good question. We
It
had
was
a
a-
conversation about it.
It was a great.
that
It was a
was a good
great
question.
No, it was a great question.
Your
but
turn.
But it was flawed.
Your turn.
I'm sorry, Brian. Wait, what was his name?
Hal.
I'm sorry, Hal.
No, I'm sorry. It's Dave.
David. Yeah, Hal's
the
computer.
machine.
Yeah.
no, I mean there are some people out there just like what I'm sitting here saying. I mean, we could have somebody else from a faith community sitting here saying, "Oh yes, we absolutely are," because of, and they could throw some stuff out. I think it's such an extreme. It's a different level. I don't think it's the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. And look, going back to what I was saying earlier before Justin completely stepped all over me. Thank you, Actually, Justin, I appreciate that, Justin, because
Misty wants us to talk about Jesus, by the way.
we got some gold. Misty, hold that thought. Hold that Jesus thought. But again, there's this thing that keeps coming back, right, from people that don't believe in God or Christianity or whatever, where they look at all the events and stuff. They look at the Bible. They look at the history, and they go, what you said basically. They take a universalist.
Yeah, I would say a lot of people do that.
Yeah, but the problem is, and hear me, okay? When I say universalist, I mean,
No, I get it.
well, hold on,
blanket.
but they may not get
Okay.
it. So when I mean universalist, I mean like saying it's all in what you believe and how you deciphered it for yourself and all that. And I'm here to say, look, there is such a thing in this world, in this world that we live in, all right, as differences and this, if this, then that, if this, then not that. There's a whole study. It's called philosophy. You know what I mean? There's physics. There's, what's that?
No, just knock on wood.
What's
Tocofero.
what's
You're
that?
right.
Oh, okay.
I'm agreeing with you.
I don't
heartily.
know. I don't know your Hispanic traditions.
That's Italian. Never mind.
I don't think that was Hispanic.
It was Italian.
Whatever. Well, he's Puerto Rican, so I'm just glad he's not bringing like a goat in here and sacrificing it, and then actually that'd be kind of cool because then we could roast it. What's that? Stan?
It is Odin's Day.
I was gonna guess Latin.
Latin.
I'm not sure what it was.
It's
but-
Italian. Tocofero.
Okay,
It's like touch iron. It's good luck.
There you go.
Okay. But yeah, let's step away from that paradigm, right? And let's go into the paradigm of, yes, there does actually exist truth, right? People are always searching for truth, and the cop out of there is no truth, it's whatever you believe, therefore there is no truth. Honestly, that's a cop out to me, and that's very unscientific too, by the way.
A little bit.
Yeah. So when you say, okay, degrees of this, is it still this? No. Water happens to be H2O, right?
Yeah. Chemically.
Nothing else mix water except for that chemical makeup, right? Well, I believe that's how I look at certain things. Like if you're following, and I like that Stan mentions Jesus's teaching as opposed to like traditions of the church. This is one of the arguments that I've had back and forth with Catholic Craig, where he goes, look, you got to look at it this way, Leo. There's two faucets, okay? There's the faucet of the book, right? The teaching from the book, and then there's tradition. And I'm like, whose tradition? Catholic tradition. I said, I can't accept that. I look at the book, and that's it. I can't look at the Catholic tradition because who's to say that where did that come from? And how is that inspired? There could be stuff in there that's not inspired. That's how I look at it, right? Kind of logical in a way. When you look, at least it's historical, you know?
Just take it one step further.
And how's that?
Maybe the book is
wrong. No, I hear you. And let me tell you, that's where, as an anthropologist, as a student of archaeology, I criticize books and history. I look at it with a skeptical eye because I have to. That's how I was trained. And as far as my years being a Christian now, I haven't been swayed. I mean, yes, I've had questions, and I don't stop having questions.
I don't think you ever will.
I don't think so as a human being. But, and that's honest to me to say, by the way, there's some Christians that'll be like, nope, never doubted once. I don't know why I always go back to the redneck.
Yeah.
It's just fun, but
I never doubted it for a second.
Never for a second did I doubt the good holy book. But in all seriousness, that's kind of telling to say, look, I was not always Christian. I became a Christian, and I'd never stopped questioning. And I haven't gotten to a place where I'm 100% going, no, this is bunk. I can't believe this. I can't believe this history. I can't believe this book. I just haven't found that yet. And I've been looking from a lot of different sides. So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
You know we don't disagree on that.
No, I know we don't.
Yeah.
That's why I'm confidently falling into this diatribe right now. But yeah, so so far, what do you think of Stan? Stan's a good guy, right?
Cool dude.
Yeah, I'm digging the Stan actually. Stan, you're fitting in good.
Stan the man.
Oh yeah.
He's fitting,
thanks.
He's fitting in good. What are some burning questions you think that non-Christians, and I mean like, I don't care what faith you're in. I don't care if you don't believe, atheist, agnostic, whatever. What are some questions you think that legitimate questions that they would have?
They whom, like anybody?
Non-Christians. So basically,
Well,
I'm broad.
Are you asking me or Stan?
You.
Okay.
So I'm broadening it for you so that you don't have to just say, okay, atheist. You can actually kind of dive into anybody's questions that you imagine there would be.
The Hitchens, what is it? Hitchens razor, right? Have you heard about this? Yeah, Christopher Hitchens had this really cool example. I'm always curious what people who are...
Is that like Occam's razor?
Yeah, it's... well, I'm going to totally screw it up. I should look it up. Side note, there's this Hitchens razor thing that evidence admitted... things accepted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. That's Hitchens razor, right? But he had this really cool way of explaining that.
Well, hold on.
I'm spacing on it.
What can be asserted without evidence
Yeah.
can be dismissed without evidence.
Yeah, that's really like, what do you think of that concept?
That literally puts us still. That doesn't move
Sets
us
us back to zero.
Well, that doesn't move us forward at all.
Puts the needle back at zero.
Right.
And I think that then he asks the question, right? He puts forth the Hitchens razor, and then he says, with that in mind, you're telling me that humans existed, if you're going to be conservative, 100,000 years, if you're going to be very liberal, about 250,000 years. You had 248,000 years of human history before God decided to say, hey, maybe all that suffering, I should do something about that. There's 248,000 years of disregard.
Suffering?
Yeah.
What's
human
suffering?
History.
What's suffering?
Well, all the things that humans were suffering.
You're saying God came into the world and did what he did in order to alleviate suffering?
No, to offer salvation.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking
so
about.
Now we're
so you had 248,000 years at the liberal end, 98,000 years at the conservative end of human history, where all of a sudden maybe I should save these people. And the question that Hitchens asked, I think, was something like, do you really believe that? Do you really believe that such a being would be so callous with so many human lives over the course of human history? And he said, keep in mind that you can't assert anything without evidence because it's easily dismissed. How can you accept that? My question is, like, how does your faith hold up under that kind of rationale? Like,
Are you going or am I?
no, you're going.
You're going.
I'm going. Oh man.
I'll go after you. I'll clean up the mess.
Just if you could clean up the mess, that would be fantastic.
I'm sorry.
That would
No,
be-
that's
I'm not
good.
as eloquent as Christopher Hitchens was. He was very good about
yeah.
making this clear.
yeah.
How the two things are connected.
There's a lot of people out there like that who are very clear and very good linguists, and I'm
not one of them.
no, and I'm not either. I mean, I'm already in over my head. I don't feel like I should be the one answering this question, to be honest with you. But I think the way that I would respond to that is to say that I don't believe that. I don't believe that God created the world and then kind of left it, or even that it evolved and then God decided to intervene after suffering. My view would be that God intentionally started it, engaged it all the way through the process, and actually kind of moved history forward toward the cross, toward the resurrection of Jesus, toward the church, and that was the design all along. And that those, kind of the old, what we would call the Old Testament, kind of that old history of humanity, are not wasted years where God is sitting, off in a cloud somewhere, just waiting for the right time to show up. There's passages, obviously. Galatians 4, just the right time. God sent forth His Son, and there's obviously in Genesis 3, there's prophecies about Jesus coming already, and we've only gotten to Adam and Eve. So, my viewpoint for that would be simply that if you can take and kind of work through the all the archaeological stuff, if you can work through all the kind of the history, if you can even come to a point where you say, yeah, I could kind of see that the Bible is a well documented. There's some evidence behind. I just need to try to figure out if I, am going to buy into the story. If you can even get to that point, for me, it's that God is actually designing that all along. There's not a period where God, I'm not the deist type of. God started it and then left it just to kind of float around. It was suffering. Oh, I'll help it again, and I'm out of here again. God's. God is actively involved the whole way.
Hey,
the whole
humans.
Excuse me.
Is everything cool now?
I'll be back in a couple thousand.
All right, I'll be back, guys. All
right. Yeah.
I'll be back in a wink.
All right, see you guys in about 2,000 years.
Maybe more. Maybe more. I'm going to take a day off.
maybe
It
a
may
little
be more. There was a period of time that we call the intertestamental period. There's a time where the Old Testament stops being written, and then before the New Testament does show up, there's a period of 400 years where in Christianity we say, God kind of goes silent. There is a time when there's no prophecy, there's no revelation, there's no prophets. And God does appear to go silent. And part of the history of that is just that the Jewish people would, basically refuse to listen for so long that God allows those prophecies to just kind of linger until boom. But yeah, my only thing with that would be I don't think that God was ever distant in that at all. I think He's orchestrating it all the way through.
I think that's part of the question, right? That kind of orchestration, that measure of human suffering. What does that say about the character? I know that I don't want to debase or dismiss your profoundly held beliefs. I don't want to seem to be dismissing them. What I mean is the person who set into motion 98,000 years of human suffering and then decided, not at some point, but that was his plan, to let humans suffer for 98,000 years. At the low end, at the high end, 248,000 years. What does that say about the character?
And I want to go ahead and say that
about the
I
person,
still
or
don't
about the mind.
I still don't agree with this term suffering because I don't understand it.
Humans that died without having any access to salvation.
Yeah, and there's a whole theology with that. So we could get into that if you want to, but this is how I would approach that and what I think. So if this obviously is assuming that Scripture is correct.
Yes.
This is assuming that...
No. I try and stay inside the bubble.
Right, yeah. So this is assuming I'm coming from the place of truth. So, in Scripture, as opposed to this, when God sets things into motion, they are perfect, They are absolute. There's nothing wrong with creation as God establishes it on day one, right? So God gets go. Oh yeah, see. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, now are these your people over here?
These are my folks.
This
Yeah.
is these are your folks. Okay, all right.
Hi, Eric Herman.
So if we're assuming that, what we would say is, okay, in creation, God created everything perfectly. At the end of each day, it was good, it was good, it was good, it was good. So God creates everything perfectly. There's no sin, there's no decay, there's no pain, there's no suffering, there's nothing. It is just this perfect relationship between God and Adam and Eve. In fact, the Bible tells us that God walked and talked with them in the garden. Like, there's this perfect kind of environment. It's not until Satan enters the picture to kind of throw a wrench in that plan and mess everything up, and God puts into place free will because he has to, or else he's not loving. He's just a robot creator. So
Can I ask a question about that?
Sure.
So about Genesis, you consider it a literal meaning for the representation of what happened in the early world? You're a literalist is the general term for it when it comes to Genesis.
Are you saying that in terms of I believe that the world was created in 6 days, literally?
Yes. And that he had a spoken relationship. It's not metaphorical. It's not allegorical. It's not meant as a teaching point.
Right. No. I believe
poetry. That's a good word too.
In this case specifically, I believe that God did have that kind of a relationship with his creation. Yeah. As for how many days it took, all that, I mean, that's a whole other topic. But yeah, I can get on board with God doing whatever he wants on that front. But yeah, so for me, it's Satan enters the picture. There's always the kind of there's that good side, the bad side. There's God, there's Satan, and then Satan introduces sin into the world, which causes the problems that we have.
Okay.
So my thing is, there's New Testament, Romans, chapter 3, all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. It's when Adam and Eve sinned, every other human being to ever walk across the planet drinks from that same, I called it sin poisoned water a couple weeks ago, where all of us partake in that. We all have fallen short. We all make mistakes. And so, the suffering just kind of is human wide. It's humanity wide. It's all of us. And we're all partaking in it. We all fall short in it. No matter how good these televangelists look on TBN and wherever else they are not perfect. They fall short. I fall short. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But we all partake in that. So it's not God saying, I want you to suffer, so I'm this horrible being that watches you suffer, and I'm just going to wait and see how many years I can, hold you off on that until I intervene and do something. Actually, through the suffering introduced by sin and by Satan, God says, I am going to do something about the sin problem. I'm going to solve that problem myself because humanity can't. And so that's how I believe. When I say that God is involved in orchestrating that, God is at work restoring creation back to the way it was supposed to be, is how I would say that.
Okay, that's fair.
So. And again, not necessarily that everybody buys it or believes it, but that's what I would teach. That's what I believe. So,
one more thing then, the consequence is another problem that comes up. For instance, if you were to get in your car drunk and get in a car accident and kill someone, and you are convicted of manslaughter, do you think it's ethical for a court to put your child in jail as opposed to you? Do you think it's fair to pass off the judgment on the parent, on the children?
Oh.
Like that's a major consequences of the people. I didn't commit the original sin.
Right.
You didn't commit the original sin.
Right.
But why are we paying for it?
Well, because here's a for instance, if I'm addicted to drugs and I'm an alcoholic and I have children, I mean, I can suffer the consequences for my own sin, but my children will also suffer naturally the consequences of that because that they're born into it, right?
Yes, they would.
Okay, so that's kind of a natural result. There's also and I'm blanking on the term here right now, but there's been some recent research that shows that the way we through activities and addictions and just the way we form habits actually rewires the brain, and that is actually passed on to the next generation. Did you know what I'm talking about?
It's called epigenetics.
Yes, epigenetics. Thank you. And so there's that part of it too, where one could actually sit here and say, when God is talking about the sins and the consequences of those being passed on to your children and their children and their children, is actually God saying, "I've known more about DNA than you did." You know what I mean? It's almost like God's ahead of us as per usual, I would say. But it's kind of a natural thing that I wouldn't say put a child in jail as a result, but that child will experience the consequences of your mistake because they may grow up without a parent.
The measure of the severity is what I'm curious about. That's pretty dramatic punishment.
Well, just because Adam,
there's also another consequence. There's also another consequential
can
problem.
we stay on one?
No. In that story, like Adam and Eve.
Go ahead.
How is it that you can make an assessment of a problem without knowing about the problem? Like, how am I supposed to act in accordance with rules if I don't know what the consequences even mean?
Well, God said, "Don't do that. Don't eat from the tree of knowledge."
I don't know what not following Him means.
What do you mean?
That exactly.
So you're telling
That's
me
the problem. How am I supposed to understand consequence when I don't understand the concept of consequence?
How do you know that they didn't understand the concept of consequence?
They hadn't suffered at all.
Well, you're telling me that
Adam and Eve lived in a garden and it was perfect.
So wait a minute, we get it.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that a child, right, that is, I don't know, told not to do something, right, is crap. I had a better analogy. Not the child.
No, because that one falls on his face. You know that, right?
Well, maybe not.
Because they can hurt themselves.
If I was smarter than I am, I probably could figure it out, but I'm not going to go down that direction. I'm not that smart. But
sin is substance, yeah.
So the crap, man. See, this is what happens when I got
tangential.
If I don't just go like directly into it,
go to it.
I can't now.
Focus. Zoom in.
I just ran out of alpha brain, so now I can't.
You need your drugs.
Crap.
Rogan,
hook us up.
Come on, Rogan, can you please?
We need more alpha brain.
We need more alpha brain in here.
I would also say,
please.
as a complete aside, the Bible does not record every conversation of human history. Okay, so the Bible is recording certain key events and conversations that happen along the way. So people get
that's perfect because you have children, right? Yeah, and I have children. He has children. The most important conversations that we have with our children about teaching them about consequence, about teaching them the results of consequence. So it seems like it would make sense that sort of conversation would have been recorded. But then all we see is the effect of it. So we would have...
Well, no.
Don't you think that would have been something important to document?
Once again, in the Bible, they were told not... It's recorded that they were told not to eat from the tree of knowledge.
Exactly. So the consequence was not something they could understand.
Why not?
They didn't have any knowledge. They didn't eat from the tree of knowledge.
Well,
but we don't,
knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah,
right?
no, but
so
we don't know.
They didn't
that,
have a
though.
concept.
Yeah, we don't know that they didn't know.
You don't. Yeah, we don't. I don't know that
you're
they
assuming
didn't have
that.
Well, that's the point of a metaphor. That's the point of an allegory. It's not meant to be taken literally because you end up in these kinds of quandaries.
It's not a quandary.
It is a quandary.
Look, if you can imagine that there's an all-powerful being that created us.
If you
right?
can.
If you can.
Yeah.
Let's live in that bubble.
Let's go in the bubble.
As you call it.
I'm going in the bubble.
As you call it, right?
In the bubble.
Well, if you can go that far, can't you go as far as saying that he created Adam and Eve whole with the fact that if he says don't do this, it's probably a good idea not to do that?
The humanity of that, yeah.
The problem with that is you've got another deity that you can think up at that point. Like you can think up the flying spaghetti monster who created the entire universe 30 seconds ago and made up all your memories.
Yeah, but the spaghetti. So here's
that's the problem with that kind of thinking is you end up in that quandary I'm talking about.
Well, when we jump into metaphysics,
no, it's not metaphysics. That's just a quandary with allegory. If you accept the consequentialism as described in Genesis,
are you having an
you
issue?
can make the same jump with another deity.
Are you having an issue with
that.
Are you having an issue with the story, or are you having an issue with the fact that there may be a God?
No, I'm having a problem with the literalism. That's it. Inside the bubble, the literalism is still a problem. Like there are people who you're trying to tear apart. You're trying to tear
apart anything. Hold on. Oh, I know you're a gentleman and a scholar, but hold on. Let me not
you're
be a gentleman.
You're characterizing my argument. That's a problem.
Well, let me not be a gentleman, okay? What you're doing is you're trying to tear apart the argument with the idea that this is this and not that. but then let's bring this other stuff in here and say it's this. We're not talking about, I feel like we're not talking on the same level.
Do you want me to give you a better metaphor? Because
Sure.
it sounds like I'm going the wrong direction. You have kids. We all have kids. Would you leave a loaded gun on the dinner table all the time? Like a loaded gun, no safety catch on it, just sitting out all day long.
So are you saying that the loaded
Like-
gun was the tree of...
Yeah, if it's
knowledge
so
of good and evil?
dangerous for their existence and he left it there, he left a loaded gun around children. And the consequences are obviously on the child, but they're also on the parent for leaving such a dangerous object near the child. So
Interesting.
it's consequentialism that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about metaphysics.
Interesting.
So that
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I understand what you're saying. First of all, no, I would not leave a loaded gun on the table in front of my kids. My
and then
kids.
tell them, don't touch it. You're
My-
not
my-
allowed to touch that gun. And
My-
then expect them not to. And if they do touch it, you pick up the gun and you shoot them with it.
You know, they weren't going to touch...
Oh well, yeah. For me, the story fell apart right there because it wasn't.
Well, I mean-
it's not God that did that part. I mean,
He picks
and
up the gun
again,
and shoots himself. How about that?
right? But again, you when we're coming at it from we're coming at it from very different angles. Clearly, I totally understand the question.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I've had people have asked the question before. No, I wouldn't leave the loaded gun there. Obviously not. Teach the kids about it. My kids have helped me clean my gun and put it away, and
Yeah.
I teach them how to kind of handle that very carefully.
Responsible gun man. That's
Just
good.
be a responsible gun
That's good
person. You know,
parenting.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that the difference is obviously for me it's a thing of, well, number one, I can't quite wrap my head all the way around God and all that God is up to. I can't. Any Christian person who says, "Yeah, I've got God figured out. He's right here in this box, and I can tell,"
He's wrong, right?
that person's
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
I can't. There's no way. And if that person is out there, they clearly don't understand. They're dangerous. They don't understand faith. So I'll start by saying I don't have my head wrapped around God maybe the way I would like to. Okay, there's definitely parts and elements of Christianity that are simply steps of faith and all those kinds of things. As for the loaded gun illustration and question, for me, it comes down to free will. If there is a God who is creating humanity and he wants them to know him and love him, but they have to have the choice to do that because that's the loving thing to do. You can't not have free will in the situation and still have beings that want to love you. If he takes out the free will, if he just says this is the garden and the tree of good, then Adam and Eve are basically robots who are in a conditioned environment that they have to love him. There's no option out. You know what I mean? So there's
What's the option out? I just want to be clear.
well the option out is the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That is the option out. So when he says don't eat from that one, that's a free will option. They have the
Okay.
option, and they had stayed away from it. It
So
wasn't
they had the option to choose free will.
they
Okay.
have the option to choose. That's the free will side of it. Now they had stayed away from it. In fact, when you read the account, it's Satan shows up and he says, hey, God wasn't quite right when he said, you'll be like God. He appeals to humans' pride, which I think pride is probably one of our most root issues in humanity is
I agree.
pride.
I agree with that.
And so I would start there. He appeals to her pride. You could be like God if you eat from this. If you eat from this tree.
Really?
Yeah, exactly. So,
Sounds cool.
but she already knew she wasn't supposed to. So when he appeals to the pride, she's making a choice who to choose. And then Adam does the same. He chooses the fruit that Eve gives him over the command of God. And so, but God has to have free will on the table for it to be a loving relationship. And some people have chosen to continue following and loving God. Some have chosen not to, and that's part of the free will thing. But that situation has to be there, or else it's just we're all a bunch of robots that God is just created and conditioned to love him. There's no choice, And that also would not be considered loving, because then if that was the case, we'd be sitting here on this podcast going, well, why didn't God give us a tree and an option?
Yeah, we wanted that tree.
We
Where
wanted
is
a tree because we want an option. We don't want to be forced to love God. So, I mean, obviously we'd have that situation too, but that's what I believe. That's what I believe why that's there.
Okay.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yes, it was. But it puts you.
I believe you. You just
It
had
does-
a lot going on. I wanted to help. Jump in there. And
So-
Justin was getting mad because I didn't talk enough. So
There you go.
the choice becomes, between loving God and suffering for all eternity?
Or
Or is it because Leo and I have discussed this, and he expresses it that it is not suffering; it is to be without God, and that is suffering.
It is suffering. Yeah.
But that begs the question: what about the people who just don't feel that? What about the people who are okay with that?
I don't know. Do you think?
That's
See, my evil side goes, I don't know. Why don't you go to hell and find out if it's suffering or not?
it's got air conditioning and Wi-Fi. You know how many engineers are in hell?
it's
See, I can say that I'm not.
It's like
I'm not a
hotel
minister.
Wi-Fi, though. It's hotel Wi-Fi. It's not that.
Oh,
good.
okay.
No, just kidding.
Well, as soon as a couple more engineers get there, they'll figure it out.
We just need some smarter people in hell.
just need some smarter people.
Yeah. All the dumb people go to hell. You guys have terrible. You guys don't have good
You gotta-
Wi-Fi.
You got to recruit.
You and
Have you heard about the offerings? of hell?
you and Hitler.
The salary is wonderful.
I'm assuming Hitler's in
You live
hell.
by the beach.
I live by the fiery lake. Ah.
It's so nice today.
Oh man.
No, I think that was. I honestly,
I'm gonna stop goading about the consequentialism. That's one of those are like major arguments.
Well, what do you-
And
what-
I
theology
appreciate
also.
that. And I appreciate that. I think it's
What,
great. I
what do
appreciate
you,
that.
What do you think about that, though?
About what?
What he said.
Well, there's always a point at which you have to question the alternatives, right? So, with the options that were offered to Adam and Eve, they didn't understand the consequences of choosing. Like they understood death in an abstract sense. They didn't understand it in a concrete
How
sense.
do you know?
Because
they
death
didn't-
wasn't a concept that
'cause-
was conveyed to them.
How do you know that? Because you're going on the whole thing that it's experience based.
Well, if you're in the bubble of literalism,
Okay.
death wasn't a concept yet. Death hadn't been experienced. So, up until that point of consuming from the tree and understanding that God was going to punish them with death, the concept wasn't, it was abstract. It was like, oh, what is this thing, death, that I'm going to suffer?
I don't
And
know. I feel
even in the if you read Genesis in that portion, they start to experience the effects of living as a mortal, and they realize, wow, this really sucks. Like I'm paraphrasing, but that's generally how it happens. Is beforehand they didn't understand these things that were the effects of being mortal. Afterwards, they go through all these trials and these periods of their life where they're suffering, and it's like, well, they didn't understand that was going to happen. And from an outsider point of view, from outside the bubble, it's like, wait a second. They were given a consequence that they didn't understand exactly how that was going to affect them. So that's how I feel about it. It's like, I want to take a step back and think about that for more than 5 minutes, because
I respect that, but I respect that that's what you think, but I feel like you're leaping. I feel like that's a leap to
not really much of a leap.
You're
It's a little hop.
you're
It's like a jaunt.
you're presupposing or supposing. I don't know what the smart word there is, but
Presuppositionalism would be the point of view of that they understood the consequence, not presupposing that they understood the consequence. Is where I'm at. If you make a presupposition, it's that they understood the consequence despite having it expressed in the Bible. They understood the consequence after the consequence happened, and that's where it's like, okay, well, is that a fair decision to put somebody in, like where they don't understand what's going to happen to them if they do a certain thing?
Once again, if we go along with what you just said,
Yeah.
and hop along with you,
Yeah.
then I'm with you. But that hop is a hop, and I feel like I can't make that hop. I can't say they definitely did not know.
I'm not asking you to make the hop with me.
I mean, I definitely understand what you're saying. And this is something I don't know. I don't know how people in the atheist bubble would feel about this comment.
We're not in a bubble.
No, well,
I'm joking. I'm joking.
I'm keeping
joking.
with the analogy here.
You guys are in a bubble.
In the
Good.
science bubble.
In the science bubble, I don't know what they would say about this, but my
I hate that atheists have claimed science. First of all, most of the most important things in science have been
let
done
Stan
by
get his
Christians.
point out.
All right, I'm sorry, but I just got to check you sometimes.
Bubbles overlap. Bubbles touch. There's areas where they over.
So it's more of
Come
a
on.
Venn diagram?
It's more of touching bubbles.
Yeah, whatever. All right, go, sorry, Stan.
My point
A
was just to
bathtub.
say that I think that there's a that hop is a hop of faith. You're having to take a step of faith to say, okay, well, God didn't. It's not laid out in Genesis 1, 2, 3 what that is. So I'm taking a step of faith that God did not have the conversation.
Yes, if
know
I'm a
what I mean?
believer, if I believe in God and I believe in the Bible, then it's a hop. But if I don't believe it, it's a narrative.
But
Like if you were to suppose, if you were to suppose,
You're being a slippery eel again.
This isn't slippery. Like in Lord of the Rings, as an example, just because I like that, it's a hop to suppose that Sam knew all along that, he would not come home. He knew that, and you're supposing that, but you never actually get explicitly told it in the book.
Right.
So that's the context from an atheist, from that point of view. Like,
Wait,
if you
wait,
don't
wait.
believe the story happened, it's not a hop. It's just a narrative understanding. Does that make sense?
yeah, I think so. I
Do you believe the Lord of the Rings happened? No, I'm serious.
Wait a minute, wait a
I'm
minute.
dead serious.
Dag nabbit.
Well, I'm Joe going there. Do you believe Lord of the Rings happened in real life?
You know what?
Because this is an easy question. It's just a no.
no.
Okay, so if you were to infer the feelings of specific characters in it, would that be considered a theological hop?
Well, I mean, I think you're. In one place we're dealing with a story. The other place I believe we're dealing with reality, and so it's harder
Yes.
for me to connect.
Yeah, I will
it's harder for
concede
me
that.
to connect those two.
I'll
But
concede that.
But I still think that there are. When I talk about taking a step of faith, I'm just saying that there's nothing that I'm going to say to you tonight that's going to make you walk out of here and go, dude, totally buy it. Like, I'm in.
I'm coming Sunday.
That's probably not going to happen. And there's
You
probably
said you were coming Sunday, though.
I did say I was coming Sunday.
Oh well, hey, there you go.
Yeah.
That's
Before the show.
before the show. Man, now I'm not. Now I'm out.
No, I love
That-
the back and forth is great.
that guy put me off. But I think that there are moments of faith that I have to take, things that I can't quite answer, fully understand, and if there's not faith involved, it doesn't seem big enough to me to bother following. But I think that the atheist community also is taking a step of faith sometimes too, because there's some things that there's nothing you're going to say tonight that makes me leave here and go,
Nope.
oh yeah, totally.
Not that I'd want to.
No, and I'm with you. I'm with you. My gut is I think both of us, just from a human perspective, are trying to make sense of the world, and we're taking these steps of faith. I am at a place where I believe that the God of the Bible makes more sense for how I can live my life really well.
Okay.
And so
Yeah.
that's how I've gotten to that point. But it's that both of us are taking some steps of faith, even though we may not kind of agree on how those look and what they are. We both are to some degree.
I would say that that's fair. It's just the terminology. We're getting hung up
Sure,
on semantics.
sure. Oh, yeah,
What
that's easy.
What Christians might call a leap of faith, we might call a gap in understanding. We don't understand that, so we just accept that we don't understand.
Ooh,
that.
I like that. Gap in understanding, or
And
gap
it's-
of
gap
in.
of understanding.
Of
Or a
understanding.
gap in understanding. Both work.
I dig it. I'm going to use that from now on.
As opposed to a leap of faith.
Yeah.
It's you would take a leap of faith on something that you don't fully understand. We would just call it a gap of understanding.
Okay.
We don't fully understand a specific concept, so we understand it's a gap. It's a dead zone. Don't know how that works yet.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right, let's see what people are saying
Cool.
here. Hold on a second.
yeah, I think that's the jaunt.
Yeah, sure.
It's like
yeah.
the comfort with a gap in understanding and making the leap of faith for
Yeah.
satisfying that need.
All right.
Yeah, it's like
I
an
got you.
intrinsic human need to
I
have
got
that
you.
understanding.
So
Okay. I hear you.
we've got Travis saying, "What? Stan has a gun? Oh my, a packing pastor."
Don't let him get. He's so full of it. Don't let him get you started on that.
There's more than one
Travis.
packing pastor, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I know a lot of
Oh yeah.
Second Amendment loving. Jasmine says, "Agree with Stan. You either hop to God had the conversation or hop to God didn't have it. Either way, it's a hop." And once again, we're back to zero.
Yeah. That's where I like the needle, baby. Right on zero. Parked.
just leave it there.
Stay in the car, man. Leave
All right.
the keys.
Well,
So-
we've moved from a bubble to a car. We're just going to take the keys out. We're just going to stay parked.
Sit here.
Going to do some parking.
We've
for the
had a
night.
few drinks.
Can we
should
put
chill.
Can we put the music on at least?
Yeah, let's turn the radio on.
So
Take a little nap.
let's we've got about 20 minutes or less left here on the show. So I would like to just kind of talk about the state of things right now here in our lovely United States.
In the America?
America.
I want to get everybody's stance on what's going on politically with our new president. Stan, how do you feel about what's going on?
That's a really good question.
It's a really good question, and I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I will tell you this. I think that there are way too many people who call themselves Christians who are so wrapped up in politics that it's almost like the government has become the god that they trust. And so I think we need to be very careful about putting all of our eggs in the government's going to fix this basket, or our votes sway history. If you're a Christian, it's kind of tough to really land there, I think. So, yeah, for me, I think it's just a consequence of humanity. It's part of that ebb and flow that you're talking about. There's and for me, it's a flow somewhat downward. I'm not necessarily a big fan of the direction, but I don't think that I could sit here and put my finger on this is what's going on, either.
That's a pretty healthy way to look at it.
So,
that's what I feel too.
Yeah.
We're kind of in this middle area of history where,
I do think the next few years will determine a lot about what America will be and where it will go. I've seen videos from, the alt-right that scare the crap out of me. Like, okay, that's not healthy.
That'll make two of us.
Yeah, I see videos from, extreme left stuff that scares the crap out of me. And I feel like there's this middle ground that just is not really discussed on the political scene, maybe. And right now, the voices dominating are these extreme lefts and rights, and it's
can't stand it.
The fear. Well, I shouldn't say fear because I don't want to live I don't want to live making decisions based on fear. But I mean, you look back through history, and that's about the time. It's about the time bad things start to happen. That's about the time things turn southward, and so I do have some concerns about the country and where we're headed, and some of the decisions are being made. But I also don't put my trust there for them to resolve the issue, because I don't think that government can solve the issue that I see as the root problem in humanity. I don't think they can solve. So
definitely not.
But,
what are these issues?
Well, again, for me, the faith side of this is that the root problem in humanity is sin, and that sin has distorted everything, ruins everything, causes people to decide. I mean, there's corruption, there's all kinds of things. I think that root is a separation from God. It's missing the mark, and so I don't think that any government can fix that. I don't think that either side of the political spectrum can say, well, if we just get our candidate in, it will all be okay. I don't think that that's a thing. I mean, your viewpoint will be okay. You'll be secure, but I don't think that solves all the problems. Yeah, I think it's just going back and forth, and it teeters. I mean, there was a time.
Seesaw.
Yeah, there was a time when Democrats and Republicans were, so close. I mean, they could come together on a whole lot of issues, and then it slowly started teetering out, and then you've got Bush to Clinton to Bush to Obama to Trump. Like, who is that guy? And then it's just this like extreme thing that's going on, and I don't think we're on track at all to solve that problem anytime soon.
I would agree. I think the mainstream folks need to start speaking louder. I think that as an atheist and as a Christian, we can both agree that the thing that's going to solve this is a whole crap load of compassion and understanding. We need to have more conversations like this where we're talking civilly, we agree on specific issues, and we don't disparage each other for our disagreements.
Yeah, and I would have said something roughly similar. I don't really know how to break into some of these circles, but I feel the same. Even talking about say Islam, and it's a thing where I need to sit down and have that conversation with somebody, partly just out of respect, general respect for another human being, and the discourse of the conversation, and those conversations need to be happening. But yeah, again, I
would love to see that.
Yeah,
Like I would, as an atheist, I would love to see the religious communities getting together, talking, working for specific issues they care about individually together.
Yeah. And I think one of the big issues too, even beyond religion at this point, is the race question. Everybody brings it up, and for good reason. It gets talked about a lot. I don't think it's as much a race thing. My personal belief is that there's one race, it's a human race, and there's a whole bunch of ethnicities within it. And
Very humanist of you.
Did I tell you guys?
Well, that's actually an Ephesians thing. It's not so much humanist. It's an Ephesians thing where when Christ establishes the church, that's the whole point, is that there's no more these distinctions of, well, you're that color, so you need to sit on that side of the bus or this part of the church building. I mean, they had those issues in the early church, and Jesus is trying to wipe those things away. So I think that's also a good discussion. I think that African American religious leaders and white church leaders need to be coming together and leading charges together for things that they care about as well. Issues of whatever.
It's the hardest thing to do is to ask people to set aside their differences.
That sounds like a good future Righteous Anger podcast episode.
And again, I don't know how to make that happen necessarily. I just think I'd love to see it.
Stan,
I want to see it.
Stan, I can make that happen.
We can make that happen.
Yeah, we can definitely make that happen.
Let's do it.
That's actually it's funny you mentioned the race thing, because when you guys were talking about the different religions and the different political, and all I'm thinking is, I look on Facebook and all I see is race. And it's funny, for an anthropologist who did work on the Race Project, and you guys know anthropology, study of human beings.
At the National...
I was in the beginnings of it, yeah.
Oh, nice.
As a student, I was an intern.
Yeah, I saw the other end of it when it was done. It was nice.
Yeah, and the thing about the Race Project is we figured out that race is not an indicator
of anything.
Of really anything. I mean, what we're actually talking about when we say race relations and race problems is actually socioeconomic and geographic problems. It's not a race problem. Race is actually, if you look at it scientifically, race is not scientific.
It's like cat breeds.
Yeah. So the whole race. This is yet another tool, I think, to pry us apart as opposed to bring us together, which is something that we do really well as human beings, is separate ourselves and pry ourselves apart from each other. The hard thing to do is to bring each other together. Like Patrice O'Neill said, any mother lover, he didn't say lover, any mother lover that ever tried to bring people together got shot in the head.
Yeah.
It takes work to bring people together.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy.
They crucified Jesus. They shot Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
They, JFK.
That kind of unity, though, there's a powerful thing in that kind of unity, and that's actually, I mean, that's a lot of what we see when the church's history is recorded in the book of Acts and the book of Ephesians, the letter there as well. You see a lot of powerful things happen within a community of people who come from a variety of backgrounds. I mean, you had Gentiles who were part of that. You had Jews who were part of that. You have these differing backgrounds coming together on this core message of who Jesus was, and the unity that they came together around in that was a very powerful thing, to the point where they spread so quickly. The Acts records that they grew in number daily. I mean, they just exploded because everybody wanted to be a part of that, and that's just to say that people coming together on this stuff can that's a powerful thing, and there are some people that probably don't necessarily want to see that
succeed. Yeah, for various reasons.
Yeah. Well, because power is only. I mean, we've seen it in so many different eras where power must separate people. Like house divided cannot stand. Lincoln, right? That goes to the people. If the people are divided, then they can be easily pushed this way and pushed that way.
Yeah.
And so Yeah, definitely power. I think power is behind that. That I think that's a great place to end it. Eric, did you have a burning thing? You look like you were burning there for a second.
No, I just wanted to quote FDR one more time.
Oh, go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Like, that's the message we need to all focus on right now. Don't be so afraid of people. Your neighbor, your friend, your coworker. You don't know anything about them. You should. You should get to know them. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just get to know them. They're your fellow Americans. That's why they say that expression, your fellow Americans, my fellow Americans. They're trying to make you feel like you're a part of the community of America. And that's what I think is lost. I think that's what's changed. Because America is no longer a community. It's what do they say, a salad bowl, not a melting pot.
Oh.
Yeah. We're all just kind of sitting in our separate groups, but get to know somebody who's different from you all the time.
Yeah.
And, since this is the Righteous Anger podcast, I will quote the Bible and say,
Let's see what.
truly, I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. And everybody is part of that. So, check it out, guys. We want to thank our sponsor for this particular episode with the great Stan Rodda. We're talking about Imperial Tobacco. Mo at El Haj will hook you up at Imperial Tobacco. That's 22034 Shaw Road, Sterling, Virginia, Suite 112, next to Buffalo Wings Factory. And let me tell you something. Who was that? Jim Carrey. Come on, man.
Yeah, it was. I was going to say Fire Marshal Bill. But...
Fire Marshal Bill. Yeah, thank you.
That might have, yeah.
They will hook you up with the hookah. They will hook you up with the vapes. They will hook you up with the cigars, the hookahs, the tobacco, the water pipes. They will hook you up with all kinds of cancer-causing devices if you are so entitled and inclined. I want to thank Stan Rodda for coming on the show today. You have definitely raised, I think, Righteous Anger's level. You've definitely brought some things to think about. Thank you, Eric, for intelligent questions as usual.
Oh, well, thanks, Dan, for putting up with my BS questions.
No, man, not at all, man. I think everybody's got to wrestle with the questions, and that's okay. And I should be wrestling with the questions too. I mean, if I can't sit here and have the conversation with you and wrestle with it for myself too, it's kind of pointless. So
I appreciate it.
I want to wrestle with it too.
Check it out, guys. So this was episode 10. Next on the docket, we've got episode 11. Check that out. Listen, if you guys are watching this right now, please subscribe on YouTube, Righteous Anger Podcast on YouTube. You'll be able to find it. We've got 9 episodes on there, soon to be 10. And check out Righteous Anger Podcast on your Facebook, or Fachi Book as I call it. You'll be able to find the page there, and you can go ahead and like that, be a part of that, check out some episodes. Every once in a while, pretty much every day, I will be putting up funny things that I just shake my head at, and I'm sure these fine gentlemen also shake their head at. Ridiculous things, things that make me righteously angry. And it just might make you angry too. And isn't that fun? Isn't that what Facebook is all about? Just getting pissed. All right, guys, thank you so much, and we'll be checking you guys out next week, Wednesday, 8 o'clock or 8:30 if Stan's there again. Take it easy, guys. Peace out.